Alright, finally on to part 2. Fighting some casters. Ah, Dantes, you poor boy. Why is your attack power so low? What did they do to you, man? Whew. Looks like our escape was a success. Oh, but don't try to contact Chaldea just yet. The enemy is likely using the signal to track us. So I think it's better if I continue to jam it for the time being. Can I ask you something? What is it, Master? You're not the Count of Monte Cristo. Remarkable. You're absolutely correct. I'm not the proud vengeance seeker at all. And believe me, I was well aware of that even during the battle. But how did you figure it out? You hate being called Dantes. Now I see. I knew I couldn't fool you for long, Master. I went to a bit of effort to change my speech patterns, you see. I wondered if I might have been giving too much away, but even so, you did well to notice. Good show. Alright, let's dispense with the disguise then, shall we? What? I believe this is the first time we've met since Camelot, Mr. Gabriel. Holmes? Pity your well-read friend, Miss Crylite, isn't here to join us. But I suppose there's nothing for it now. How did you get here, and how are you using Dantes' abilities? Good question. Let me start from the beginning. Do you remember when we met at the Alice Institute? Yes, it appears you do. Well, there's a reason I continued to race shift from London to Camelot to Shinjuku. You didn't need my help to restore humanity. I suppose I could have offered advice, but so could others. And the same was not true for the incident that would happen afterwards. At the Alice Institute, I was trying to find out if one thing in particular was possible. Whether or not a singularity could occur after humanity had been completely restored. Huh? It turns out that such a thing was very possible indeed. Hermes warned that if humanity were to move from being incinerated to being restored, the distorted history would end up creating enormous remnants. Specifically, remnants of numerous powers that could have threatened the entire world, but were wiped out by history playing out correctly. To date, the counterforce, or perhaps something else, has worked to restrain or dispose of these remnants before they could pose a threat. But when humanity moves towards restorations, their powers return from the cracks of history. They're almost like hidden malware that tries to infect your computer when you go to reboot it. Anyway, Hermes calculated that if a new remnant were to occur, it would be in 1999 in Shinjuku. I still don't know why, but there is one strong possibility. What's that? No, I better not say anything until I know for certain. Now, don't give me that look. Watson used to give me that exact look. At any rate, that is why I'm here. Now, what say we keep going, Mr. Gabriel? Oh yes, I still have to tell you the most important thing of all. I'm not completely confident that I have laid bare all the mysteries Shinjuku hides. Words fail you, I see. Indeed, ordinarily I would never divulge a theory that I was still in the middle of formulating. Doing so could cause you to make an errant prediction, potentially leading to grave mistakes. However, there is an exception to every rule, and this case is one such exception. The rule is simple. His fingerprints are all over it. Threads that should lead him to become tangled and twisted, eventually ensnaring you into a trap. And before you know it, he has you in his grasp, just where he wants you. However, there's only so much one can see by observing a spider's nest from above. If one takes too long to investigate, the wind could blow away the evidence like so much sand. Thus, I've chosen to leap into the spider's web head first. Perhaps that's what he wanted all along, for me to take the stage. I imagine if Miss Crylite were here, she would be screaming right about now. At any rate, let me tell you exactly who we are up against. My nemesis, a demonic mastermind who disappears without a trace of evidence. He and his subordinates spin the threads, each of which leads to the spider lying in wait. In order to reach him, I had to evade every one of those threads, sometimes disguising myself entirely. However, I soon learned that even this wasn't enough to find evidence that I could convict him. In time, I began referring to him as the Napoleon of crime. But his real name is James Moriarty. And he is the archer of Shinjuku who first bonded with you when you arrived here. Are one and the same. That is why I hesitate to reveal myself. Moriarty would never side with good and virtue. It must be some sort of plot. Regardless, I knew my presence would only endanger you. The moment I arrived in Shinjuku, I could sense that he was here. As such, there is little doubt that he is similarly aware of me. Given how weak the good Moriarty's spirit origin is, I didn't think the same would apply to him. However, it seems that over the course of deducing his true name, he managed to sniff out my presence. That being the case, there's no point in pretending to be the Count of Monte Cristo. And now that I have removed my disguise, the game is well and truly afoot. No longer am I a spectator, I'm a participant. Which means that it is now only a matter of time before Moriarty and I face each other. In truth, I did all I could to remove any mention of him in Watson's writings. In part, that was because, if possible, I wished to fight him on my own. But the other part is that I instructed Watson to write about him as little as was possible. In terms of pure strength, there are surely countless servants who surpass him. No doubt there are also many who exceed him in charisma, especially those from the age of the gods. When it comes to evil charisma, devising fiendish plans that are carried out without requiring him to lift a finger, he is in a class of his own. Indeed, I feared what effect Moriarty might have on the world. Thus, I asked Watson to depict him as simply and austerely as possible. Now here's the real problem. Moriarty claims to have split into good and bad personas. The bad one took the power and true name and expelled the good one from his domain. However, as I see it, that just doesn't add up. After all, I sense almost no traces of good from him. And yet the archer of Shinjuku who protected you was sincere in his actions. When he saved you from the fearsome rider of Shinjuku, he did so with no regards for his own life. Nor did it seem like he did so because he had some scheme in mind that would guarantee his survival. Sheer dumb luck was the only reason he survived. When I realized this, I was utterly at a loss. So Archer is Moriarty. I thought he might be an imposter, but that doesn't seem to be the case, which leaves us with a problem. He really is a good Moriarty. It's almost like those protagonists suffering from amnesia. This really is a problem. I never believed such a person could even exist in this world. Still, while your life may not be in danger now, I can't say I approve of the way that he lets you get abducted. Like that little? You have every right to be angry. Good or not, that part of him is still very much Moriarty. If he calculates a gambit will be safe, then he will go through with it, no matter how risky it may actually be. Now then, I advise you to try and hide anything from him. Not to try and hide anything from him. Feel free to tell him all about this talk. I know you're concerned, but don't worry. He already knows everything that's happened. He knew you would get kidnapped, meet his other self, and that I would rescue you. He even knew that his true name would be revealed afterwards, along with the doubts I still harbor. Naturally, he's never met me in person, but he is certain nonetheless. Even if he doesn't know his own true name, he will have sufficient information to deduce it. That is something Moriarty would never fail to do. In a sense, we are very much alike. At any rate, once everyone is here, I have something else to tell you. Exactly what destroying the world really means. I say, you there. Me? Yes, you. What a lovely face you have. I dare say your complexion is marvelous. You're the very picture of health. You must be highly nutritious. What? Now, should I go with rare or well done? I can never decide. Steak, steak! The Wotha like me are meant to eat fine steaks. Commoners are supposed to eat swine. One of my stature can't eat swine. That would mean you healthy people are more affluent than me. I see someone is at the end of their rope. Why is everyone here like this? There have been severe food shortages here ever since Shinjuku fell into the state. Of course, now there is one source of food that remains in abundance. After all, most good people here are dead and gone. Those that remain are either spellcasters or killers. So on that note, Mr. Gabriel, I hope I can count on your help. Fortunately, these should be easier than that King Lear. Unfortunately, there's also a lot more of them. Socialite's bodyguard. Is this really what we're going with right now? Okay, fine. Did you just Sparta kick me in the face? I swear, these enemies just keep getting weirder and weirder. Dead. I better stock up on weapons soon. I believe he should be around here. Huh? What are you looking at, punk? Ah, there you are. I see you're just as bad disguising yourself as ever. How do you always see through it? Doesn't matter how much you change your appearance if your gait remains the same. Ruffians, police officers, yakuza, each has their own distinct way of talking. Mr. Gabriel, allow me to introduce you. This is Mr. Kaburaki. He runs a general store here in Shinjuku. He has everything from demonic beast corpses to guns that even work on wraiths. Mr. Dantes is one of my best customers. It's always a pleasure to see him. You should try to sound a little more earnest when you lie. I see what's going on. Today I'm here with someone who seems like they make a good hostage, so you're hoping to abduct them in order to threaten me. Isn't that right? Wait, what? I can't put anything past you. Well, now that you've seen through it, I won't give you any trouble. Good. Now, I'll take 20 of the usual, please. You got it. By the way, Mr. Dantes, I got a question for you. And what might that be? Do you think the end is almost here? Yes. It may very well be. But that doesn't change what needs to be done, does it? You still have to collect, sort, and sell your wares. It may not be a proper profession, and at times, you may have to sell your hands. But so what? What is there to be afraid of? You should be proud, Mr. Kaburaki. Just do what you need to do. Now keep that in mind. By the by, I also have some new demonic beasts in, if you fancy that. They can make great pets. They're very friendly, and not a bit picky when it comes to food. No thanks. What about you, young man? Interested in a nice demonic beast? What kind of beast you got? Genetically modified chimera? I call it super chimera myself. What? You don't need one? You had a bad experience with one before? Thanks for waiting. Hey, you're you. Well, yes, we'll soon be meeting up with the others, after all. I believe her hideout was somewhere around here. Ah, there we go. Alright, shall we go get lectured? Lectured? But of course, Mr. Gabriel. I'm afraid those two will be absolutely livid after spending the evening worrying so much about you. I see now you understand the situation we're in. Come then, let's be off. True name revealed. Archer Shinjuku. James Moriarty. No Phantasm Unleashed. The dynamics of an asteroid. Cool.